When Hurricane Harvey made landfall in Texas on August 25, 2017, as a Category 4 hurricane, it became the country's first major Category 3 or higher hurricane since Wilma hit Florida in October 2005, and the first major hurricane to strike southern Texas since Celia in 1970. It kicked off as a historical destructive 2017 storm season for the Caribbean and the southern U.S. This was the biggest of what would soon become a tragedy to the people of Houston. Harvey began developing August 17th as a slow-moving tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico, originating from a tropical wave off the west coast of Africa on August 13th. Tropical Depression Harvey reformed August 23rd. It grew into a Category 1 hurricane with 80-mile-per-hour winds on August 24th and continued to gain strength as it churned towards Texas. The National Hurricane Center upgraded the storm to a Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds up to 130 miles per hour August 25th. The city of Houston didn't really know what to expect at this point, but they knew something wasn't right. Harvey first made landfall over San Jose Island and then near Rockport in south-central Texas late August 25th as a Category 4 hurricane, threatening millions of residents with 130-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rains, and a massive storm surge that swamped coastal areas. It stalled around southern Texas for days as a weakening hurricane, producing catastrophic flash and river flooding. Harvey then downgraded to a tropical storm August 26th. By August 27th, winds died down to as much as 40 miles per hour, but the storm dumped a year of rain in less than a week on Houston and much of southeastern Texas. By August 29th, two flood control reservoirs had breached, increasing water levels throughout the Houston area. Highways were completely covered by water. Some homes were filled with as much as 12 feet of water. Harvey left more than 100 people dead directly and indirectly, flooded hundreds of thousands of homes, and caused $125 billion worth of damage. Tropical Storm Harvey unleashed the worst flooding in Houston history, dumping as much as 29 inches of rain in some areas over 2 days, sending bayous over their banks and leaving neighborhoods across the Houston area deep in floodwaters. Thousands of people abandoned their unattended homes and apartments by boat, helicopter, and by foot, carrying children, pets, and plastic bags full of belongings. At least 6 people are believed to have died in the storm, according to the National Weather Service, and more than a dozen were treated for injuries, and the worst was yet to come. With Houston still underwater, the Coast Guard, firefighters, fishermen, and the Cajun Navy conducted dramatic high-water rescues across the region. Fort Bend officials evacuated dozens of subdivisions along the Brazos River, shelters went up for thousands of displaced homeowners, and Houston officials, pressed by Chronicle reporters, defended their decision not to order a mass evacuation of the city. Hurricane Harvey destroyed approximately 500,000 vehicles in Houston alone. Many cars were submerged in areas around Houston for over 2 weeks. The Cajun Navy, which is a group of Samaritans from Louisiana formed after Hurricane Katrina, made their way down to Houston with their boats to help rescue as many people they could. They drove their boats down what normally are 10-lane freeways to rescue people from their cars. Many pulled families out of the second-story windows of their homes or even the roof. Strangers came together to help one another. The entire city of Houston partnered together to support and encourage each other. Many families took in friends who had lost their homes. Others donated clothes, food, cots, and blankets to local schools to give to families. Locally known as the Mattress King of Houston and for his local TV ads, Mattress Mac McIngvale is stepping up to help his fellow Houstonians in need find safety, food, and a warm place to sleep. He turned 2 of his popular stores into shelters and has placed organized volunteers and trucks to help rescue his fellow Houstonians. The city of Houston is devastated and filled with sorrow as families leave their homes. They are walking away from their lives. They are leaving everything they have built and valued behind and watching it ruin. Hurricane Harvey was the most destructive storm in Houston's history. The late August storm dumped up to 60 inches of rain on southeast Texas, but the resulting damage was multiplied by actions taken and not taken during the past 50 years. After the worst flood to happen in over 200 years, Houston wasn't going to let this stop their fight. Once the water drained or was removed from homes, people began removing all of their belongings from their homes. They lined the streets and the yards of every home and neighborhoods all over Houston. It took months for cleanup crews to make their way around Houston and the surrounding area to clean up the debris. As this cleanup process was beginning, it was giving Houstonians hope of a brighter future ahead. The people of Houston came together to help the flood victims clean their homes and rebuild. Many relief groups partnered with families to rebuild their homes. Some homes were gutted and rebuilt up to a few feet above where water had come to. Other homes had to be completely demolished and rebuilt. The Houston Food Bank was open to the public during these hard times to help those families who were in desperate need. The food bank tripled its normal distributions, providing 750,000 pounds of supplies a day. The Houston community came together and served one another to rebuild their city. They were determined to get back to normal and make Houston bigger and better than it was before. Houston is back on its feet and is rebuilt thanks to the love of neighbors, strangers, and the Texas community.